Welcome to Tuesdays with Gary. It is May 26th, and we're happy to be here with you on Memorial Day week. Today we have a very special guest, a friend and colleague of mine, Maxine Gomez. And Maxine Gomez runs a company called DryTech 24/7, Maxine to the rescue. And I've used Maxine a whole lot in my real estate business with regards to mold remediation. And as we continue to deal with COVID, we're going to learn today from Maxine how she helps consumers, that is sellers of houses, buyers of houses, and we're going to take an even broader view how businesses can be helped by using Maxine's services. And we'll even talk a little bit about the yachting industry and how Maxine comes into play there. Without any further ado, let me introduce Maxine. Welcome, Maxine.
Hi, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. How are you hanging out with the COVID situation?
Well, we've been pretty lucky. Fortunately, nobody we know has been sick, and we've been operating every day. Our team is full of essential workers, making sure that people are safe in their homes and businesses. So we're still up and running.
Fantastic. And so have you been busy during this COVID epidemic?
We have been, yes, we have been very busy, disinfecting everything from the Broward Sheriff's Office, getting the school boards ready to reopen, assisted living facilities, which of course are our most vulnerable demographic, restaurants now getting ready to reopen. So yeah, it's been a busy time.
It's been a real challenging time, but thank goodness there are people like you in your business who can help us and keep us as clean as possible. Can you give me an overview of basically what DryTech is all about? And I think maybe you have some slides you can share with us.
Yeah, we put together a few slides to highlight the majority of our services. DryTech 24/7 is a restoration company. So we do water, mold, fire, biological, which of course led into the sanitization services, and indoor air quality testing, drywall rebuilds. Of course, I'm a certified national teacher and trainer for these organizations, and we are Clorox certified to sell the Clorox 360 program.
Fantastic. I can't wait to hear more about that Clorox program, because as these properties that we represent, we're concerned about bacteria, germs, and also COVID. But go ahead and tell us more about what you're up to.
Well, specifically with the Clorox 360 program, it's an electrostatic sprayer, and we have two different chemicals that we use in the machine specifically for this environment. Really what we're trying to educate people on is reducing the bioload, which thereby reduces the chances of contamination. So if we can clean it and disinfect it, then we reduce the chances of sharing it. There's that image you see, one of our technicians suited up in full gear for in his Tyvek suit. That is the Clorox 360 machine, and that is a sanitization of a warehouse. There is the machine as well. It's very portable. It weighs about 50 pounds. It's got wheels, so it's easy to maneuver in homes, offices, yachts, planes, and just about anywhere you can go, it can go.
And is it difficult to use that machine? And is there any type of training or certification you have to go through?
So in order to use the machine, there's no training or certification. But what we are trying to educate other providers on is what they can advertise themselves as such, right? So what keeps somebody from putting Dawn soap and water into a machine and spraying it in a building and calling themselves a disinfecting company? We are trained through ISSA under their GBAC program. Myself and my technicians are all part of that, which is the Global Biorisk Advisory Council. So basically, the people who advise to this organization are the ones who dealt with the Ebola outbreak and global pandemics like this. So we understand truly how to react, how to treat, and how to care for it by being properly trained and certified. My company being trained through NORMI, which is an indoor air quality and mold remediation. It actually stands for National Organization of Remediators and Mold Inspectors. Indoor air quality has been a huge part of disinfecting. So we've been offering this service for years. It's used to be an added value we would give to our clients, and now it's the service in highest demand.
I understand. And you know, it's funny because I've heard different approaches to like I've heard about ozone machines, for example, is maybe a way to clean the environment. I've also heard it can be quite hazardous. What's your opinion of ozone machines versus the Clorox cleaner?
So they do completely different functions, so to speak.
Okay.
And the reason I personally like the Clorox 360 machine is one, it's a reliable name. You know what they're doing. You know, everybody knows Clorox. You use it every day. And you know what you expect it to do as well. The other reason I like it is because it's a plug and play machine. You can't mess it up. You don't have to change any settings. There's no dilution of chemicals. You basically put the chemical in the case, plug it in, and you're ready to go. So because it's foolproof that way is one of the reasons that I really like using it. The training is very simple, as opposed to an ozone machine where there are all spectrums of ozone machines, ones that are highly toxic that are used to really disinfect a place on a high load. And then there are ones that are portable. You can plug them into a hotel and sleep there and they don't affect you or your pets or anything else. But in that same respect, you can't take one of those portable ones, put it in a home and consider it COVID free, right? So because there's such variety in the spectrum of tools that are out there is really where the training and the knowledge comes in.
One of the things I really liked is you talked earlier about load factor, bacterial load factor, viral load factor. There's been a lot of data in the news which suggests because COVID is so contagious that one of the factors might be, you know, how long you're exposed in front of the virus, for example, or the concentration. When the person is getting sick, for example, they may have a higher viral load and they may be easier to spread. Is that the same theory that in using the Clorox disinfectant that you go in and take care of whatever viral load there is with an intent of bringing it down to zero?
That's exactly right. And even more so, the Clorox machine isn't a magic wand. Like if anybody tells you that they can come in and spray and your place is sanitized for 90 days, it's just not true. It's not possible. The same way you can't come in and spray the Clorox 360 program and call a place sanitized if it's a hoarding situation, right? Just because you spray it doesn't mean it has been cleaned. And that's why the ISSA CMI program and the GBAC program and the NORMI program are so important for your technicians to be trained or know that whoever is providing the service for you has that kind of training. Because if your place has never been cleaned, your office, your home, your yacht, your plane has never been cleaned, you can't just come in and spray it and say that it's COVID free. So there's no magic button. There is required maintenance. And really that's what we're learning out of this, Gary, is that we have to maintain things. We have to take care of things and places and ourselves and with better care.
Well, this kind of goes back to the whole theory of better hygiene in all matters, right? I wash my hands more frequently now and longer than I ever have in my life, or I remember to change out my gloves or change out my mask just to make sure that I'm not contaminated or reduce my odds of contamination. So Maxine, let me go on further. And, you know, you and I've had business dealings before, and oftentimes it's a result of a buyer doing a home inspection. And in the past, we would identify, for example, maybe a mold problem or a water leak problem, and we wondered whether that was mold. Can you tell me about that service as well?
Sure, absolutely. One of the other things that we test for in a bioload environment is the indoor air quality. And we can do air samples to see what is going on. It may be something as simple as an allergen or something more aggressive that requires a full remediation. But in most cases, what we find is if you change your air filter, if you haven't had any flood or leaks, if you keep your humidity levels between 40 and 60%, then you're keeping your environment in a safer zone. So that's an environment where mold is not likely to grow. Because if it doesn't have a food source and it doesn't have the humidity, you're pretty safe in the clear.
So I like the idea of changing the filter. And I'm assuming you're talking about our air conditioning filter, right? Making sure that we always have that clean and up to date. There's a new technology I'm familiar with. In fact, I have one. It's an ultraviolet light as a component now to my air conditioning. Can you talk about that a little bit and tell my customers, prospects, and friends on Tuesdays with Gary the benefit that accrues to a house with a homeowner?
Of course. So again, we're talking about another form of technology, which is the UV light that does have the ability to help with a bioload. But again, it's not a magic button. If you keep it in your air filter running all the time, it's going to help maintain everything. But should you be contaminated, you're going to need to be sanitized before that UV light can do its job. And again, this is a different component to the steps of the process, right? So for example, the one I have in my house, we call it a PRV 24K. It's sold at the Clean Air kiosk. And it has a combination of UV light, ozone, and microcluster ionization, which basically attaches to things in the air and makes them bigger so that they're easier to catch in your filter. So that combination of all three technologies working at the same time makes for a better air purification process.
I love that. I mean, it's amazing how sophisticated and technologically advanced we've become, even with regards to air conditioners. Now, do you know if installing that type of system is an expensive item? I know for me, I installed it in I have a duplex. I did it for my tenant side and also for my side. And the change I noticed was that my house always smells good. I mean, I keep a clean house. I clean my kitchen, but every time I walk in, it always smells fresh. And I have to believe it has something to do with that ultraviolet light.
It absolutely does. It helps with odor control as well because it's helping with the overall bio load, and really that pet dander, those odors in the air, that's all part of indoor air quality. The other reason I like the Clorox 360 program is because it helps with the VOCs, which is the volatile organic compounds. If you're using toxic chemicals to clean or sanitize your home or your office or anywhere else, that lingers in the air. That can cause you to sneeze and cough and cause other symptoms because you're breathing what is left behind. The Clorox 360 program actually reduces VOCs in the air and you're breathing cleaner air. Same thing with the UV light, the ozone, the microcluster ionization. Some people hear ozone and they're a little nervous about it. But again, this is that variety of technology where the kind that we install in your house is not the same kind that you would use in an aggressive remediation project. There are different levels of ozone. It's safer to run in your home and left to be running all the time. You wouldn't want a larger load running in your house all the time.
And that's a great comment because I know gyms reopened today in Fort Lauderdale and Broward County, and I'm lucky enough to go to a gym that's very conscientious. It's a personal trainer gym, so limited numbers of people are there. But the owner takes great pride in having an ozone machine that he runs every night. But he also cautions that even though he runs that machine, he has to allow time for that place to air out so that it doesn't harm the consumer. I didn't even realize that was a component, but I learned something from him and from you all the time.
That's exactly right. You would be surprised. You know, when they use the expression of spring cleaning and you open your windows, that natural airflow is really what's helping to detoxify because mold, VOCs, all of these aggressive compounds that are building up inside the property just need a place to go. A lot of them are naturally organic occurring things in the environment that you're fine when you're breathing them outside, but left in a confined space is when you start having reactions with your body.
I understand. So we've talked about the gentle cleanup of a house, mold remediation, but I think you have another interesting side of your business that most people don't like to think about, but sometimes there is trauma in a residence where there may be biohazard material. Can you tell us a little bit about the services you provide there?
Yes, the bio varies everything from hoarding, and that can be hoarding materials, and even the pileup of newspapers hold on to a lot of dust that holds on to a lot of bacteria that then leads to bigger indoor air quality problems. So the first image you see there, yes, that was a hoarding job. The after one was an accident, a domestic dispute, and we had to clean up blood. And bio can be what happens naturally. Most people don't even know that in their insurance program, a lot of homeowners insurance covers the cost of if you should expire in your own home. And it's very unfortunate, but I like to think that we bring a woman's touch to helping a family cope with this situation.
That's excellent. And in these times, when we can't reach out and touch someone, how we treat people and being kind to someone can make all the difference in the world. So Maxine, tell us what other home services you offer, and then I want to get into how you're helping reopen Fort Lauderdale businesses and maybe even dealing with some of the yachting industry here.
Yes, absolutely. We do water, mold, fire, bio. I am yes, there you see the water. I am IRCRC certified. We use infrared technology, so we don't have to remove anything more than necessary. That lets us detect where water is actually coming from rather than cutting into homes and destroying them unnecessarily. And of course, as we are getting into hurricane season, people are starting to think about preparing their houses for that, not just being compliant for COVID. So those water stains that you see there in the ceiling, that's an indicator, of course, that something else might be going on. You may have a roof leak or a problem in the insulation, some condensation lines from the HVAC system. These are all things to start exploring now before we get into rainy season.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I know you've helped me with inspections. We found mold in a situation. Money solved the problem. We actually were able to close on that deal. But thank you so much for being able to identify that for my customers, because it's a resource that early in my career I would never known was available, and I didn't know how valuable what you brought, how much value you brought to my deal and to the table, and I really appreciate you for that.
Of course, thank you. I find it
Maxine,
interesting that it's not mandatory considering the environment that we live in. Yeah, there are some examples of some mold jobs we done, and one of them is from a leaky AC, one was from a water closet, and another one was storm damage, that one on the bottom with the straight cut line. We had to remove quite a bit of drywall. It was an unoccupied snowbird home. When they came back from after the storm season, their entire place had a foot of water around it. So we helped them get back to normal.
I'm reminded of another deal that you helped us with. We had found that there was a mold in the house in Oakland Park, which we have a damp environment down here, right? With this particular house, you may remember it had a shower pan problem. And the shower pan created a great place because of the leak or the break for mold to grow, and you pinpointed the problem. And I think the best advice, which saved the deal, was that you recommended that the seller make a claim against their homeowner's policy and make the new buyer the beneficiary. Now, that was brilliant. It was a wonderful, we were able to close the deal because of it. So Maxine, let's move on and talk about how you're helping businesses get started. I'm thinking you're still connected. I see you may have a frozen screen there, but let's see if we can get you restarted. If we could circle back now and let's go on away from the home inspection scene, away from mold remediation, and let's talk about the businesses and how you're helping businesses today. All right, so Maxine has dropped off. Let me send her a text real quick and we'll get her back on. Okay, so we're so happy to have Maxine Gomez with us today. She's with DryTech 24/7, and she dropped off for just a second, and we're just waiting for her back to sign on. And as you've heard already, she is DryTech to the rescue. So if there's a mold problem, if there's an air quality problem, if there's a trauma problem, if there's been a fire in your home, if it needs to be sanitized, or Clorox certified, which you've learned about today, Maxine and her services are available. Here's some pictures of Maxine all dressed up in her COVID outfit, and she also has the ability to run some other situations. Chitachi, while we're waiting to come on, why don't we go ahead and run the video? We have a video for the audience today.
Did you know that when cleaning and sanitizing a room, only 35 to 50% of surfaces are reached? This leaves way too much bacterial load for comfort, allowing bacteria to not only replicate, but recontaminate the area. Hi, my name's Gabriel, Chief Uterus and Professional Inspector at DryTech 24/7. Today, I want to share with you why we use the Clorox 360 Total Machine and why we at DryTech chose it for superior coverage. We love the Clorox 360 Total Machine because it's so easy to set up. Just plug in the compressor in the wall, add your solution, and you're ready to go. Now, how it works, we have an air stream inside the Total Machine that connects with the chemical stream. At that point where the gun sprays, it charges negative. This means that it's a static negative charge, so it can wrap around the object that it's spraying without compiling on top of each other. This promotes absolute efficiency. Clorox 360 separates itself from everyone else because of this process I just mentioned called wraparound. When it sprays, its charge is so strong that you can spray from literally 7 feet away and you can get every object you're trying to get, every square inch, front and back. This means you're going to save time and operating costs, and you're going to save money on the solution. So it can spray anywhere, and it has a log 6 kill. That's 99.9999%. Not to mention, its VOCs are practically non-existent. This means you can breathe better. Also, its solutions are peroxide based. This means you have the ability to spray anywhere. I hope you were able to learn something beneficial from this video. Please stay tuned for more helpful information from DryTech 24/7. And remember, we are the team we hope you never need. But if you do, it's DryTech to the rescue.
That's just a wonderful video. You've done a really great job. I think I know Gabriel. I think he worked with Nick before, right?
Yes,
Nick
he actually came on board with us when we partnered with Nick to do some of our inspections. And
fantastic.
He loved the program, and now he's part of our sales team as well. He's still doing what he's doing, but he's a part of our team as well. And he did such a great job.
What a great addition! What a great addition he is. I'll tell you. So things like dropping off the program, that happens in today's technology. We're glad that you're back with us. And we were just getting ready to talk a little bit about, we've talked about homes, we've talked about the Clorox cleaning process. Can you share with us now how you're helping reopen some of the businesses, for example, restaurants in Fort Lauderdale?
Absolutely. So most recently what we've done is we've helped restaurants by sanitizing them and making recommendations based on our experience with the CDC guidelines on what they can do to stay open. Most places are adhering to the guidelines, which are to stay at 50% capacity. The service staff is wearing masks and gloves. You're allowed to enter and walk through freely. Some places are asking you to wear a mask as you walk through the dining room. There is no bar standing room. And we're just trying to show them the best products, make sure that they are using EPA approved chemicals as they are sanitizing in between services, and being aware of who's coming in, if they're showing any symptoms, what's going on, and what they can do to stay open.
One of the things I noticed today as my gym reopened is that I came to the gym, I actually walked and put my feet in a container filled with disinfectant, right? And then wiped my feet off. And then, of course, I'm gloved, I'm masked. Then he asked me to clean my gloves so that I would not contaminate any machines. And leaving the gym was the same process. After every exercise, he would clean everything and make sure it was ready so that the whole place could remain sanitized. And it sounds like that's what restaurants are also requiring right now. And what a better way to help us feel more safe and be social beings like we are.
Yes, exactly. It's booties are going to be the next big thing in shoe fashion, I believe. Because
well, the mask has certainly been.
It's funny how this has come to play, and being in this industry for so long, knowing certain things. I take off my shoes before I come in my house. It's been common practice that I've always done. And my father, being a quantum physicist and engineer, I now understand why my whole life whenever he went anywhere, he always walked around with his fist closed until he was able to get to a sink. So if you keep in mind the common practice somewhere, let me wash my hands before I do anything, before I touch my face. Let's make sure that I like to picture, for those of you who are old enough to know this, Pigpen from Charlie Brown, right?
Right.
If you imagine you have this spore cloud around you and you treat it as such, then you'll be more aware of how your actions affect the people around you. If you are acting like you are carrying the virus and you are this dusty cloud, then don't touch your face, wear a mask, clean your hands before you do anything, and know that you're tracking it in your feet too, right? The way he used to troll around his little comfy blanket, same idea. That's you with your shoes as you're going into places, and it's what you're bringing in with you. I think we were very fortunate that during this reopening time, we had this massive amount of rain to really help clean the sidewalks and the streets. So
yeah, it's funny because here we have Memorial Day weekend, a time of celebration, going to the beach, and here we have 3 days worth of rain, and which gives me the preview that June 1st starts hurricane season. So it kind of made me kind of think about getting ready, what it was going to be like, making sure that I have all my ducks in order for my own safety, my personal safety, which includes food, of course, making sure my house is secure. Maxine, it's certainly been a pleasure having you today as my guest. As always, you drop knowledge like crazy. One other thing, if you wouldn't just mind sharing with us, I think you have where you've been working with the yachting industry. Can you tell us about that project and how that works?
absolutely. So the yachting industry was a natural next step for us in the indoor air quality environment. We initially got in it as we partnered with a salvage marine company, and we were sanitizing their boats to get them ready for restoration. And as the word caught on the Clorox 360 program and its abilities, we were able to get rid of that new boat smell that so many people complain about, because oftentimes these boats are sitting around, they're musky, they don't have the AC rolling the way they should, you get those fumes from underneath. And this has a way of getting rid of all the funny odors that are common in boats. And because it's an electrostatic sprayer, it gets into all those little nooks and crannies that are really hard to reach with just your hands. So you're getting a better surface clean.
What a great opportunity for the yachting industry. What a great opportunity for you. And as usual, you teach us so much. And that's one of the great things about Dry Tech, is that you take us from an educational perspective and bring it down to the practical level as far as how we can maintain a safe, cleaner environment. Maxine, it's just been a pleasure being with you today. I will make sure we give your contact information. Go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to add one more thing. In South Florida, where people are coming in and out, it's such a port of people. Our airports, our cruise ports, all of that. I know that the cruise ships and the cruise ports are being treated with the Clorox 360 program, so that world will open up soon. And we actually put an office in the National Jet's Fort Lauderdale Airport, so that as you are coming in with your private jet, it can be sanitized to make sure that your crew and that your customers are taken care of and that they're safe in between flights. And as you may have heard in the news, American Airlines, JetBlue, and United all announced that they are using the Clorox 360 electrostatic spray system. So we feel very strongly about its abilities and what we can do to keep people safer.
That's fantastic, and that's great news. So today we've had Maxine Gomez, president of Dry Tech 24/7 on today. Hopefully you've learned something about mold and mold remediation, as well as cleaning through the Clorox program to keep bacteria, COVID-19 at bay. And here's some contact information for some social media links on Facebook as well as YouTube, and also the website of drytech247.com. Maxine, thank you again. Next week, I want you to please tune in one more time. We've got somebody else related to the real estate industry, and that is my friend and colleague, Bobby Smith. She is a photographer for real estate, and she will talk to us about what it's like to shoot a house during COVID-19 times and maintaining the safety of the seller, of course, who has the listing. And she will also talk about 360 views of the house, whether it be Matterport or i360. And she will also deal with the subject matter of virtual staging. So tune in next week for that. That's June the 2nd. Bobby Smith. And today again, Maxine, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for being my guest. As always, you're terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Likewise, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. And we bid you adieu for today's show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.